Welcome back to another tutorial from Computer Science Cafe. I am Jane and this is part 4 in a series of taking you from zero to hero with Python. I will leave you with a coding challenge at the end of this video and you can find sample solutions on the website. I hope you enjoy and please support us by clicking like and subscribe. Every day you make decisions. For example, if it is snowing outside, then you take your coat. If it is sunny, then you might want to hit the beach. If you have homework, then you might Google it, then go to a party. We can program computers to use if statements in a similar way. If snow, then wear a coat, else if sun, then hit the beach. The great thing about computers is the speed that they can check the if statements and produce the required outcome. Now let's get started. I will create a small program using the weather scenario. I will create a variable called weather and make it equal to sunny. Now creating the if statement, if weather is equal to, we use two equal signs to ask the question and make the comparison, is it equal to, then in brackets and speech marks, sunny, followed by a colon, the colon means then do. When I press enter, you can see the next line is automatically indented. The indent is what tells Python that this line is part of the if statement. And here a quick print statement. Then I will continue this if statement with an else if. In Python this is elif, then I will give the criteria. A colon for, then do. And when I press enter, you can see that this line is also indented from the left, which means it is inside the if statement. Okay, let's run this program to check it works. We can see the output is wear your shorts, so it is working as expected. Next, let's just change the content of the variable weather, at this time assign it with rain. Run again and cool, we can see that the elif part of the if statement was called. Now let's change the weather variable to accept a user input and ask the user what the weather is like. When we run this program, we can see that if the user types sunny, the output is wear your shorts. Now I just want to show you what will happen if capital letters are used. This time I will type a capital S. You see when I press enter there is no output. This means it did not meet any of the criteria in the if statement. I typed a capital S and the sunny here has a lowercase s, so it does not match. This .lower method is a neat trick to solve this problem. I can simply type .lower on the user input and it will convert the user input to all lowercase letters. Let's print this and comment out the rest of the code just so we can see what is happening. Typing in a mix of upper and lower case letters, then pressing enter. From the print statement we can see that the user input has been converted to all lowercase letter. Therefore, when we compare them to all lowercase letters, they will match and the if statement will work. Now I have removed the multiline comment and delete the print, we can test the program again. And, awesome, as expected it works. Lastly, in this section we will look at the else part of an if statement. We use else at the end of an if statement. If none of the criteria of the if statement was met, then the else will be done. Remember, else cannot have a criteria of its own. Again, the line below is indented, and this else statement also symbolizes the end of the if statement. I will test this else statement by typing snow. And great, we can see it has worked. Great job, that's part 1 done, and next we will dive deeper and look at using numbers with if statements. Don't forget to check out the coding challenge at the end of the video. Okay, let's get started on part 2. Okay, so let's have a look at if statements with numbers and dive a little deeper into the structure of the statements. Here I will create a variable called number to hold a number and assign it to hold a user input. don't forget to let Python know that the input will be a number by using the int method before the input. I will create a quick grading system to display a student's grade from a given number. Here I will use the greater than sign to compare if the input is greater than 80, but before I do this I just want to show you that if you try to compare a number to a number in a string you will get an error. The value 80 is in speech marks, so Python will treat it as a letter. Let's do a print, then test the program. 80%. That must be at least a grade A. I will type in 90 and press enter. We can see that an error message is given, and it is telling us that we cannot mix a string with an integer. Now let's remove the speech marks from the 80 and Python will now treat this as a number. When we test this again, we can now see it works as expected. Okay, let's add some more parameters for our if statement. Whilst I am doing this, you will see that the structure of the if statement always following the same pattern. We start with an if, and further criteria are in an elif, and then finally, if we want something to happen if no criteria are met, then we have an else. Also remember, the indentation is critical for the statement to work as expected. I hope I am not being too harsh on these grade boundaries. And finally, let's have an else. Okay, grade E. Now, try some values and see what happens. Test your program with a few different values. Whilst we are testing this, you should remember the comparison operators we used in the last video. Here we are just testing if the value is greater than, but there are many more options to choose from. Before we finish, I want to show you what would happen if we just used if, with no elif. So, I will change these statements, then run the program again. When I type in 90 and press enter, you can see that it prints all options. That is because I now have 4 separate if statements, and the value of 90 meets the criteria for each if statement. Using the elif is important because it keeps the if statement to just one if statement, and once the criteria is met, the if statement will finish if you have followed the correct structure. This is also important in helping the program to run fast. Fantastic! Great job! You are now one step closer to being a Python master. Don't be afraid to try out your new skills and experiment with the code. I am going to leave you with a coding challenge, but before I do, please like and subscribe. Have fun and see you in the next video.
Can you write a program to help me sort my ski teams? I have 3 groups: Group A, for those who finish in under 2 minutes, Group C for those who finish in 3 minutes and over, and everyone else in Group B.